Welcome to Desk Side With. Our guest today is Harry Medved, Director of PR at Fandango. Harry, how are you doing?
I'm great, Brian. Good to talk to you.
Good to see you. I know you just came back from CES. Do you want to talk a little bit about the headlines from CES and maybe some marketing takeaways?
Sure. You know, it's always a big dilemma about whether or not you want to go to the Consumer Electronics Show because it's so noisy there. I even learned from you, Brian. You hosted a session with a guy named Mr. Gadget, who I talked to during one of your pitch sessions, and I said, is it worth going to CES as a PR guy? Do we get anything out of it? And he said, no, CES is so noisy, and we reporters are so busy covering other tech companies and looking for the latest gadgets. Please don't pitch us there. So I learned from you, thankfully, not to pitch people there, but it's a great place to make new connections and take meetings. There are 3 different shows that PR people can take advantage of at CES. They're all kind of like little outgrowths of CES. One is called Showstoppers, another is called Lunch at PROs, and the third one is called PepCom. Now, unfortunately, all of these situations are pay-for-play situations. As a PR professional, I don't like putting down my cash in order to be seen by reporters. I don't feel like I need to pay for that. There are some companies that do take advantage of these operations and get something out of it, and I think they're probably worthwhile for certain companies. But what I kind of like to do, and I prefer to do in my own way, is to find out where the reporters are, where the parties are. There are more parties than ever this year at CES, and just take people to lunch and make friends. Part of what I do as a PR practitioner is I'm making connections for people. So a lot of times it's finding out that there are certain reporters who might be in between jobs and helping them find another job and make connections. And it's also helpful to go to CES with a story on your lips. Because if you're just going to meet people, you're going to be kind of lonely. You need some kind of news. So the news that we had is we have this new iPad app for Fandango where you can actually see a visual representation of the ticket sales as they happen. So if you're trying to figure out, gee, is the Green Hornet going to be sold out this weekend, you just go to our iPad app and pull up the Pulse, which shows you like these Tetris-like images of movie posters coming down on your screen, and you can see, wait, Green Hornet is wide open. It's not selling out. It's doing well in 3D, but it's not selling out. So it's kind of a new situation for us because we've had this information for years. Where we've kind of kept it in our secret vaults about what are the hottest ticket sellers, but we haven't let the public see it. We've only given it to the press on an individual basis. So this was kind of exciting for me, and we were able to kind of cut through the clutter of CES and get that story out there. And we had a nice placement in the Wall Street Journal and in Mashable and other places. So, it was overall, CES was worthwhile to me. My one tip, the one kind of summation there is only go if you have lots of meetings set up with reporters, lots of parties to go to, and a story on your lips. Otherwise, you're wasting your time.
Wonderful. I'll have to download that app as well. And those tips apply to any trade show beyond CES. So
yeah, I think it's just a waste of time. I mean, why waste your company's money or your own personal money if you don't have a specific agenda? You got to know who's going to be there. Try to get a hold of press lists. You can do that sometimes and just talk to other PR firms. See if they have parties going on that you can kind of latch onto, and just make friends. But definitely have a story, something urgent, something news breaking at any conference you're going to. Otherwise, you're just another player.
Love it. Well, let's circle back to what you were talking about, what's hot. Fandango certainly is in a position to know, and I think you track a lot of stuff on Twitter as well. But let's talk about Oscar buzz coming up. Do you have any sense from fans or any polls that maybe you've conducted on the site what the fans are predicting who are going to be the winners?
You know something? It's a good question that you asked, Brian, but I don't think the press really cares what the fans think are going to be the winners, because the fans look, you know, the movie that's going to win Best Picture is The King's Speech. I'm telling you right now, if you're listening to this desk side and it's after the Oscars and The King's Speech didn't win, please email me at harry.medved@fandango.com and tell me what an a-hole I am, okay? Because I'm telling you, this is like a movie that has Oscar written all over it, and I hope I'm not wrong. But the fans are usually not the same people who are, they don't have the same taste as the people who vote for the Academy Awards. Part of what we need to do as PR practitioners is we need to understand what the press cares about. So for years at other companies, for instance, I always say, hey, the fans picked the best movie of the year, you know, and here's our Moviegoer Choice Award. The press doesn't care. There's too many award shows out there.
Yeah.
They're looking for you to be an expert. So no matter what field you're in, if you are doing PR for a hospital or for a hotel or whatever, make yourself an expert in that industry, and don't just pitch your own company. So it's not just about your hotel or about your hospital. Find a way to make yourself a statesman or spokesperson or stateswoman for your industry so that you can talk about the industry at large. So when I'm pitching Fandango, it's rare that I'm saying, please write a story about our company. There are some people out there who don't know that we sell tickets and maybe don't even really care. But I try to sell the fact that Fandango has its finger on the pulse of the movie-going public because we're one of the few places in the country where we sell tickets in advance before the movie comes out. So we can tell you that The Green Hornet is not going to be just all that. We can tell you that of the most anticipated movies of the new year, Green Lantern, surprisingly, is going to be all that. Pirates of the Caribbean 4 is going to be big. And not surprisingly, of course, the last installment of Harry Potter and the second to last installment of Twilight. But because we have our finger on the pulse of the movie-going public, we're trying to start conversations about our subject, which happens to be movies.
Do you want to do the King's Speech? It is, Alvin. I'll hold you to that. Do you want to talk a little bit about conversations, how you guys are using Twitter, and maybe some tips around that?
You know, as far as I'm concerned, there are some times when your company asks you to send out a press release, and you kind of groan and you hem and haw and you say, gee, I don't know if that's really worth a press release, because a lot of times folks confuse marketing announcements or like email newsletter type announcements with press releases. And Twitter's a perfect place for that. So if we're trying to just get out the fact that Green Hornet is right now 40% of ticket sales, this is the day before Green Hornet came out, I don't know if that's really a press release, but that's certainly a little announcement on Twitter. We have close to 1,000 followers on Twitter. And it is mostly people who are interested in those little bits of factoids, little bits of data where you don't want an email every day. And that's the other lesson to learn, Brian, is that the press hates getting an email every day. I get a lot of these emails every day from some companies that I won't mention right here, where I constantly think, you know, I got to unsubscribe myself because it's just killing my email box. So I think Twitter's a great place where if you have short, bite-sized announcements that are just little bits of news and don't deserve a full-fledged story, it might be a little pitch for an item, put it on Twitter. It's a great place for it.
All right, Harry, and unless I'm wrong, it's at Fandango News. Is that the handle?
That's right.
Okay, great. Well, Harry, you've given us a lot of tips, a lot of perspective, a lot of fun stuff in here, and something to look forward to. I hope you're right. Any last tips to our audience of PR professionals, marketing professionals, IR people, even some advertising folks?
Sure. And by the way, Colin Firth, Best Actor. So if I'm wrong about The King's Speech, because it is 10 nominees for Best Picture now, it's a little tougher to guess. Definitely Colin Firth for Best Actor at the Oscars. But as far as tips are concerned, the best thing I can say is just make friends with reporters, read what they write, follow them religiously. Never pitch a reporter before you actually take 1 or 2 minutes to see what the reporter has written that day. You know, just go online before you pick up the phone or send an email and figure out what is the reporter all about so you don't look like an idiot. And 2, try to make a reputation for yourself as that expert in your industry. One of the things I've been lucky enough to do here at Fandango is I wrote a book about movie locations called Hollywood Escapes. It came out 4 years ago. And Fandango was kind enough to buy a bunch of copies of that book. I sent them around to radio stations around the country and said, hey, you know, if you want to talk about places where you can vacation on location, I've got this book, and we created this whole content section on Fandango. So I was able to merge what I do here at Fandango as PR guy with some editorial stuff that I was doing on the side, and it worked out beautifully. And just recently I did another book, which is now called Location Filming in Los Angeles, and sent that around to other people. Now, a lot of people might say, that's fine for you, Harry. You're an author. How do I write a book? Well, there are a lot of publishers out there who will publish books. You're not going to make money on them. These are almost like labors of love. But I highly think it's worth it, because if someone's trying to book you as a guest, if they say, we now have with us the PR person from so-and-so company, nobody cares. If they say, we now have the author from so-and-so, people are a little bit more interested. So I would say take the book route. Just don't spend a lot of money working on getting self-published, because that's not worth it.
Great. Good thought leadership tip. And I have a copy of your first book. I was just looking around my office for it. I don't have the second. So
the second book.
Yeah, so send me a copy. All right, Harry, thank you for your time. Have a wonderful upcoming weekend, and we'll stay close. We appreciate your time.
Keep pitching away, Brian.
All right, talk to you later, Harry. Thank you. All right, bye-bye.